All right, so we are going to simplify this expression. And the way we kind of simplify when we're multiplying is just by factoring each piece and then seeing what cancels. So I'm going to start with 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. And you are welcome to use any method you would like. It's got a leading coefficient of 3, though, so we're probably going to have to use a method. Most of them involve this type of AC method, where you're looking for what multiplies to a times c, so what multiplies to negative 10 times 3x squared, which would give us negative 30x, and what adds to b, that middle term. So again, we're looking for what multiplies to negative 30x squared and adds to negative 13x. And that's going to be, in this case, negative 15x and 2x, right? Be careful, it's not going to be 3 and 10. Those would add to a negative 13, but they multiply to a positive 30x squared. So we're going to have negative 15x and 2x. I can split negative 13, so I like to then do the factor by grouping method. So I'll split it, negative 13 into negative 15x plus 2x. Order does not matter here for these middle terms. Then I will factor by grouping. So first I'll look at 3x squared minus 15x, and I'll pull out the GCF, which is going to be 3x, and that's going to leave us with x minus 5. And then if I look at 2x minus 10, if I take out a 2 there, I'm also left with x minus 5. So this factors to 3x plus 2 times x minus 5. So we can now go ahead and put that here. We'll replace 3x squared minus 13x minus 10 with 3x plus 2 times x minus 5. And then we'll move on to factoring 4x squared minus 20x. So we've got 4x squared minus 20x. Okay, it's only 2 terms, but not only is it only 2 terms, it looks like it has some stuff in common. We want to pull out the GCF. Even if it was more than 2 terms, we always want to look for a GCF first. So looking at 4x squared minus 20x, I can see they're both divisible by 2, but they're also both divisible by 4. So I can pull out a 4, and then they also both have an x. So 4x squared divided by 4x just leaves us with an x, and then 20x divided by 4x leaves us with just a 5. So we can go ahead and replace 4x squared minus 20x with 4x times x minus 5. Okay, now we can factor 6x cubed minus 12x squared. Again, we're in the 2-term situation, but as always, we want to see if there's a GCF we can take out first. So if I look here, we've got 6x cubed, 12x squared. They're both divisible by 6, and they both have 2 x's. So that's going to leave us with 6x cubed divided by 6x squared is going to leave us with just an x. And then 12x squared divided by 6x squared is just going to leave us with a 2. So we can replace this with 6x squared minus, I didn't mean to do that, times x minus 2. Okay, and now we have one last thing to factor. 2x squared minus 8. Now, this one looks a little bit different, but we're still going to start, because it doesn't have an x here, we're still going to start by taking out our GCF, right? That's what we always look for first. So 2x squared minus 8, they're both even, divisible by 2, and that leaves us with x squared minus 4. Okay, now this is a difference of squares, right? A squared minus b squared. If you have 2 squared terms being subtracted, you can factor them to a minus b times a plus b. So this is going to factor to x plus 2 times x minus 2. So 2 times x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay? So we will replace 2x squared minus 8 with that. Okay? And now we can go ahead and just rewrite it all in one line. 3x plus 2 times x minus 5 times 6x squared times x minus 2 all over 4x times x minus 5 times x minus 2 times x plus 2. And I'm actually going to change this to 8x because I'm going to do the 4x, or the 4 times the 2. So now we can begin our canceling. So let's see. We've got an x minus 2 and an x minus 2. We've got an x minus 5 and an x minus 5, right? They're being divided, so those are going to cancel. Then 3x plus 2 and x plus 2, those aren't going anywhere. Those aren't canceling. I've got x squared divided by x, so one of my x's is going to go away, so I'll be left with x. And then I have 6 over 8. So you can think of 6 as 2 times 3, and 8 as 2 times 4. So the 2's are going to cancel, so I'm left with 3 over 4. And now I'm just going to rewrite this with the coefficient out front, so we don't think that that's a multiplication sign. And our final answer will be 3x times 3x plus 2 over 4 times x plus 2. And there's no need to multiply it out. We can just leave it like this.